On the morning it happened, nothing felt unusual to Olivia, and that was the strange part. She woke up to the sound of traffic outside her window, checked her phone, and saw the usual mix of messages, reminders, and news headlines that all felt equally loud and equally distant. She made coffee on autopilot, got dressed without really looking in the mirror, and left her apartment already thinking about everything she needed to do and everything she was afraid she wouldn't have time for. Her life wasn't bad, but it felt crowded, full of obligations that never quite added up to satisfaction. She was always rushing somewhere, always responding to someone, always planning the next step, and yet she often felt like she wasn't truly arriving anywhere at all. That day, her schedule fell apart early. A meeting was canceled, a client postponed, and suddenly Olivia had an unexpected stretch of free time in the middle of the day. Instead of enjoying it, she felt uneasy, as if stillness itself were a problem to solve. She decided to walk, telling herself it was productive, good for her mind, even though she didn't really know where she was going. As she moved through the city, she noticed how everyone else seemed just as busy, heads down, phones in hand, conversations half finished, lives moving fast but shallow. It struck her how rarely people looked at each other anymore, how easy it was to exist side by side, without truly connecting. That thought stayed with her as she turned onto a quieter street she had never walked before. On that street, Olivia saw an old bookstore tucked between newer buildings, its sign faded, its windows filled with books stacked in uneven towers. Something about it slowed her down. She stepped inside, and the noise of the city disappeared instantly, replaced by the soft creak of floors and the smell of paper and dust. The man behind the counter looked up and smiled, not rushed, not distracted, as if he had all the time in the world. Olivia wandered the aisles without searching for anything specific, running her fingers along spines, reading titles that felt like forgotten promises. She realized how long it had been since she had allowed herself to be curious without purpose, to do something simply because it felt good. She left the store with a book she hadn't planned to buy and a feeling she couldn't quite name. As she stepped back outside, the city felt different, not slower, but clearer. Olivia began noticing details again, the way sunlight reflected off windows, the sound of laughter from a nearby cafe, the subtle expressions on strangers' faces. She realized that nothing around her had changed, only her attention had. For years, she had been living in a constant state of urgency, treating every moment as a means to an end, never allowing herself to fully experience the present. That realization wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. In the days that followed, Olivia didn't quit her job or move away or make any dramatic changes. Instead, she made smaller, quieter choices. She put her phone down during meals. She listened fully when people spoke instead of preparing her response. She allowed herself moments of rest without guilt. Some days, the old habits returned, the rush, the pressure, the feeling of falling behind. But now she noticed when it happened, and that awareness gave her the chance to slow down again. She understood that a meaningful life isn't built from grand gestures alone, but from attention, from presence, from the courage to pause in a world that constantly tells you to hurry. Months later, Olivia walked past the same bookstore and smiled, remembering the day everything shifted without anyone else noticing. That day didn't make her life perfect, but it made it real. She learned that sometimes the most important changes happen quietly, in moments no one applauds, moments that don't look impressive from the outside. And she learned something she would carry with her always. When you stop rushing through life, life has a way of finally meeting you where you are. As Olivia continued to live with this new awareness, she began to realize how deeply her old pace had shaped her relationships. Conversations that once felt rushed now carried more meaning, even when they were short. She noticed when people hesitated before speaking, when they wanted to say more but weren't sure how. Instead of moving past those moments, she stayed with them. She asked follow-up questions. She waited. This simple shift changed how others responded to her. Friends who once kept things light began sharing heavier thoughts. Coworkers trusted her with concerns they hadn't voiced before. Olivia understood that presence is contagious. When one person slows down enough to truly listen, others feel safe enough to do the same. There were moments when this new way of living felt lonely. Slowing down made Olivia more aware of the gaps in her life, the evenings that felt too quiet, the friendships that existed more out of habit than connection. Instead of filling those spaces immediately, she let them be. She spent evenings reading, walking, cooking slowly, doing things without multitasking. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable, like she was missing something important. Over time, it became grounding. She learned that loneliness and solitude are not the same thing, and that being alone doesn't always mean being empty. Sometimes it means being honest with yourself in ways that noise never allows. One afternoon, months after her accidental discovery of the bookstore, Olivia returned there deliberately. The same man was behind the counter, older, calm, exactly as she remembered. They talked briefly, not about anything important, just about books, weather, the city. As she left, she realized something had shifted again. She no longer needed moments like this to escape her life. They were part of it now. The bookstore wasn't a pause button anymore. It was a reminder of how she wanted to move through the world, with attention, with intention, without constant urgency. Life didn't stop testing her. Deadlines returned, conflicts appeared, plans fell apart. But Olivia met these moments differently. She didn't confuse speed with importance anymore. She learned that being busy is often a way to avoid feeling, and slowing down is an act of courage in a culture that rewards exhaustion. She still moved forward, still worked hard, still dreamed, but she did so with a sense of choice instead of pressure. And in that balance, she found something she had been searching for without knowing it, a life that didn't just pass by her, but one she actively lived, moment by moment, fully present.